coming to King, you best not miss.
ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
And backpedaling, Lawrence flips it open, wide open. Justin Ross off and running. The Alabama native wins the foot race, and Clemson strengthens its grip on this championship game.
Wow, gut punch by Clemson right there.
Akers, big three. Cam Akers in the clear. Foot race. And they finally spin him down at the 5. The electric play the nose needed.
He wants another deep shot. Drops it in. At the goal line. That's a Canes touchdown.
He pitches to Cersei. Cersei lunges into the end zone. And the Yellow Jackets score again.
Armchair Quarterback Radio is ACC country. Fantasy sports time to jump into DraftKings. Go to DraftKings today at DraftKings.com. Golf, NASCAR, soccer, you name it. And of course, Major League Baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. Go to DraftKings.com. Listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks for DFS advice all year round. Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms. They buy and sell used guns. Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine, the friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Drive time. The Armchair Quarterbacks are good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Frags, wait a minute. Do you think you can get me a tape of the show?
What on earth for?
Well, how often do you get to hear your son on the radio?
I'm on the radio every day.
You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
This is
Armchair.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's time to wake your sleepy head.
Wake up, y'all. It's time to get up with the Armchair Quarterbacks. The world of sports is changing every morning. So wake up, y'all, with the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show.
It's time to get up out of bed.
Willie and the Wizard, Big Mac, and Sam the Man.
The last segment of the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Show, we're talking baseball. That's the Armchair Quarterbacks talking baseball. The last segment of the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Show.
Yeah, I was born a Cardinal fan.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes. And what a lovely morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I can get tired of somebody. Who?
It's a baby.
A baby?
Yeah.
Why does a baby need a towel?
Because the Jaguars. You can say no.
Go ahead and give a towel to a baby. It better be going to a baby too. Woo! Yeah. Baby towel, yeah.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Rising
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. An absolute terrible tragedy in the National Hockey League over the 4th of July weekend. Medical examiner in Michigan says an autopsy has determined the Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender, Mattis Kivlenieks, died of chest trauma from an errant fireworks mortar blast and not a fall, as authorities previously reported. Police in Novi, Michigan said the mortar-style firework tilted slightly and started to fire towards people nearby Sunday evening. The 24-year-old Kivlenieks was in a hot tub and tried to get clear with several other people, police said. Myers said the fire department and EMTs arrived at a private home at 10:13 p.m. local time on Sunday. Responders took 4 minutes 38 seconds to arrive after receiving a 911 call. The Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office reported preliminary autopsy results Monday afternoon. Prior to the autopsy, police said Kivlenieks was believed to have slipped and hit his head on the concrete while running from a malfunctioning firework. Kivlenieks started in 2 games for the Blue Jackets this past season and recently played in the IIHP World Championships. He played in 8 total games in his NHL career. Major League Baseball has a full slate today, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. The national game of the night, part 1 of a doubleheader. Milwaukee, the Brewers, are at the New York Mets, set up to be Anderson versus DeGrom. Second part of that doubleheader, it's a New York twin bill as the Yankees are out in Seattle, Tejon versus Sheffield. Braves are at the Pirates as Ian Anderson takes the hill. Toronto at Baltimore, Steven Matz on the mound. The Marlins are hosting the Dodgers all week. It's Tony Gonsolin versus Pablo Lopez. The first start for Lopez since the one-pitch outing versus the Braves on Friday night in which he was ejected. The Tigers are at Texas. Philly at Chicago, Aaron Nola versus Jake Arrieta. The White Sox are at the Twins, Rodon versus Berrios. And Cincinnati and KC are doing battle. Luis Castillo is on the mound. A's are at the Astros for a battle for first place in the AL West this week. The Red Sox continue their series at the Angels, Nathan Eovaldi versus Shohei Ohtani. Colorado's at Arizona, 9:40. St. Louis is at San Francisco, 9:45 first pitch. And the Washington Nationals are at the San Diego Padres. It's Patrick Corbin versus Ryan Weathers. And the NBA Finals begins tonight. Game 1 in Phoenix. It's the Milwaukee Bucks against the Phoenix Suns. Giannis Antetokounmpo is listed as doubtful and is a game-time decision. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast. Calling all baseball fans, Yankee fans, Red Sox fans, the Tampa Bay Rays. It's the Catbird Seat. Monday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, only on Armchair Quarterbacks Show's YouTube Live. We dive into the American League East, point of views of the fans. Teamus and the Red Sox, Angelo and his New York Yankees, and Florida's own Mac McGee's Tampa Bay Rays. It's the Catbird Seat. Monday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, only on Armchair Quarterbacks Show's YouTube Live. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. The Trevor Bauer documentary will not be PG-13.
Hi, I'm Mac McGann. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Braves? What the hell was that last night, man? Seriously. Come off a big win and you lose to the Pirates 11-1? The hell was that last night? You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
What's this? That is demerit. Jim Halpert, tardiness. Oh, I love it already.
You've got to learn, Jim. You're second in command, but that does not put you above the law.
Oh, I understand. And I also have lots of questions, like what does a demerit mean?
Let's put it this way. You do not want to receive 3 of those.
Lay it on me.
3 demerits, and you'll receive a citation. 5 citations, and you're looking at a violation. 4 of those, and you'll receive a verbal warning. Keep it up, and you're looking at a written warning. 2 of those, that'll land you in a world of hurt, in the form of a disciplinary review written up by me and placed on the desk of my immediate superior.
Which would be me.
That is correct.
Okay, I want a copy on my desk by the end of the day, or you will receive a full disagulation.
What's that?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. With a blue one in his head. Yeah, the armchair.
Yeah, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how the hell are you this morning?
I can't complain, Mac, other than I need to separate my wife's birthday and Old Glory's because that's 2 rough back-to-back weekends. But aside from that, doing great.
Good luck. I don't know how you do that, but good luck. I don't know which one you'll get to move first, but yeah, good luck with that. Man, let me get this story out of the way. I almost bit the bullet yesterday, dude. So you'll see the bandage on my hand, and that was best case scenario for me yesterday. I'm coming back in from letting the dog out in the backyard, and to cut to the chase, I see this fork and knife that are sitting on one of our tables in the living room. And I meant to grab it like 2 times the day before, and I would see it, and then you know you get sidetracked. Someone says something to you, and then you walk away. Long story short, I'd seen it. I go, I gotta get that damn thing in the kitchen. It's driving me nuts. It was one of those really sharp steak knives. That's where the plot thickens, because I go to walk towards our kitchen, and for people who haven't been to our house, from our living room to the hallway that leads to the kitchen, there's a slight stair, not much, but the slight stair. And I remember when we moved in, I told my wife, I said, well, that'll be the stair that gets me. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I don't know how long we'll live here, but that'll be the one that ends my life. Because it took me a while to get used to the fact that you were stepping down. I was thinking more stepping down than stepping up. Well, when I went out in the damn outside, I put like Nike flip-flops on, right? Not like the kind with the toe thongs. I won't wear those, but the other ones. You know, you kind of want to call them sandals, but whatever. I go, and I've got this sharp-ass knife and fork in my hand, and I go to hit that damn stair, and I slipped on one of my dog's plate things. And so I start doing straight header into the damn wall. I trip. As I'm going straight ahead of the wall, there's no way to stop my momentum. But I'm trying to stop because I'm like, holy crap, I'm about to break my neck. And I throw my hands up, which is how I cut my hand because I had this stupid knife in my hand. I should have just threw the knife. No, because no one else is in the house but me and my dog. So, you know, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20. But I stick my head through the freaking wall. I come back out of it, and I'm kind of like out of it, to be honest with you. And I was like, what the hell just happened? My life flashed before my eyes. There's a knife. I'm bleeding out the yin yang on my hand. I'm having to run around and play doctor to myself the whole time. I'm going, holy crap, I put a hole in our wall. I was like, my wife's never going to believe that I did this by accident. She's going to think like the Braves pissed me off and I punched it or something. So that was my yesterday.
Very interesting.
Dude, I mean, first time in a long time since like my hell raising days. Did I see my life flash before my eyes? I thought I was about to get that knife in my jugular as I was falling. I thought for sure it was over. I was like, I'm not saying I don't.
Better. Saturday night. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No. I was just gonna say, I'm not saying I don't deserve it. I'm just saying it was coming as a surprise to me. Go ahead.
Well, Flip Flops About Kids, your co-host as well, because Saturday night I took myself a tumble as well, and my face tried to beat up the concrete, and yeah. Did me a nice little tuck and roll, got me some wounds, and yeah, that's both of us flip-flops tried to take out this weekend.
I'm gonna kill that music because it's kind of hard to hear you. I don't know if you got a way to turn your mic up a little bit, but if not, we'll figure it out. So you did a header as well? Yeah. Well, at least you had alcohol in your veins. You're much more dangerous when you're sober, right? I feel like if I was drunk, I just would have collapsed into the wall. And I was trying. So it happened right in the corner of the wall, too. I was trying to catch myself on the corner, and I just wasn't thinking that I had that stupid knife in my hand. So when that happened, I mean, I just jammed it. My head's still sore as hell today, but I was like, you know what? That's about the best I can hope for. In that scenario, my big tumbling ass going straight to the wall, nothing but momentum heading that way. The best case scenario from that was no broken neck. I was like, this is it. It's how I've always said the damn house was going to get me. I just didn't know how it was going to. I couldn't expect I was going to slip in the shower and break my neck. And that's how it's going to get me. But anyways, we'll move on.
We both survived.
Somehow. I don't know. Wouldn't that be a hell of a somber note this morning? They're doing a eulogy of you and I on the air. God, I didn't even know how to turn the show on. Me and you up in the heavens, freaking drinking beers, saluting, going, sucks to suck.
I think it was convenience that it was birthday 245 that took us both up. I don't know,
man. I'm wondering if there's a plot against us now that I know that you almost bit the bullet. And not to make light of that, but that kid, the goaltender that died over the weekend for the Columbus Blue Jackets, what a terrible, terrible tragedy that is. And
yeah, I mean, I hate to see the accidents that happen. Just a reminder, a little PSA for all the young ones out there, especially July 6th fireworks guy. One, knock it off before 10 o'clock. And two, man, y'all be safe. Come on. Everybody pay attention.
We did the fireworks on the 4th, and we had one idiot that was out there, and I'll leave it at that. We had one idiot that I was about to get hostile with, because you got all these people that were standing around, and the person was trying to show off. Now, we ended up not giving that person any more fireworks, so that kind of squalled it. But I'll tell you more off air about as far as this person's personality. But anyways, it's not really important to the story. But we shut off some fire. I went crazy and bought a bunch of the fireworks, at the discount stand the day before. And you know how you get it? Well, I say discount stand, but they weren't on discount yet. I should have waited. But you know how you'll get them, and you go, I don't know what the hell I've bought. And so I went in there and threw about $100 at fireworks and just seen what would hit. And some of them were cool, and some of them were like, "Are you serious right now? That's what I bought." Well, the sparklers I got sucked. I mean, dude, they didn't even really sparkle. Like, they were reminding me of. There was like 20 seconds of maybe sparkle, and the rest of them. Do you remember those things that parents would give you when you were kids that wouldn't explode so you would be safe? The snakes that you would.
Right.
Yeah. That's what it was like, having a snake in your hand. I was like, what the hell? And so then I even tried to light like 10 of them at once in my hand to see if that would do things. Like, nah, this is just even a more pathetic showing. I was just pointing that, but I did get a couple that I was like, well, that's pretty good. Dude, they had one that was they called it a drone, and it was a cheap ass thing, and that's why I only bought one of them, because I was like, I bet this thing's gonna suck. I wish I'd have loaded up on this. That was one of the coolest things. It was a little plastic piece of crap that you lay on the ground, shaped like a plane. You light it, and I bet that thing went up 25 feet in the air, and pop, 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 pop. I was like, damn, that'd have been cool as hell to light like 5 of those at once. But anyways, I did enjoy the 4th. The 5th, I didn't enjoy. That's a hell of a day. Dude, I was supposed to do 3 shows yesterday. I barely got one in after I, had to go over here and play, play damn, Nurse Mary to myself. I called my wife just to let her know what was going on. I was like, look, I'm calling you to let you know, because I don't know if I'm going to pass out, and I want to make sure that, I'm checking in with somebody, because I mean, I guarantee I was concussed. But anyways, we'll move on from that. The NHL playoffs, I stayed up for the end of that. You ought to be proud of me. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I got so mad at the Braves game that I just said I'm not watching both. I'm just going to go to bed and watch the hockey game. The Braves have absolutely made me just miserable today. And Montreal extends it in overtime. I just felt like that Tampa Bay ruined their opportunity when they came out of that OT with 3 minutes in the power play, did not get a goal. I just, at that point, I was like, man, you're testing fire. The only good thing that comes out of this, though, is that they get a chance to win it on home ice, which I think would be cool for the Tampa Bay fans. So we do get a game 5 and extends the hockey season as well. So that's fun. But I don't want it to get past game 5 because it gets to game 6 and then you start getting, all the ghosts of comeback pass start getting in your head. What's that?
You start freaking yourself out mentally. I'm glad they have the opportunity to win it on their home ice, especially after last year winning it in the per se bubble. This time they'll get to be at home, and if they can close it out, I mean, you're looking at back-to-back champs in front of your whole crowd. That's got to be special, especially considering you lost last year's. Not that you lost the championship, you lost being able to celebrate with your fans and in your home arena.
Right, exactly. And so to me, that's the cool part, especially because it's so sad and pathetic. The good thing is, whoever wins the championship this year, it's going to be in front of a sold-out crowd. It's not going to be that crap we have to see when they're in Montreal, when it looks like, it looks like, what, 15, 20% they've got people in the stadium. It's so sad and pathetic to look at. It just drives me nuts. But we know if Montreal wins it, they will have had to have won it in front of a sold-out crowd. So that's the one thing. Well, never mind. What the hell am I saying? If Tampa Bay wins game 6, then no, that's not the case. But hopefully it gets done in either 5 or 7. Because if it goes 6, it might as well go 7. NBA playoffs start tonight. There are people still bitching about this, Justin, about how we don't have LeBron and we don't have Kyrie and all these people that I just loathe. And I'm like, man, I'm jacked for this. I'm excited for the NBA playoffs. For the first time in a long time, I'm like, it's going to be some good dudes win it no matter who it is, but I am pulling for Chris Paul and the Suns. That's just kind of
I'm excited. It's fresh blood. I'm a little bummed out that Atlanta didn't make it, but that's fine. I wanted to see Atlanta and Phoenix match up. But, hey, I can handle the matchup we have. And for a non-NBA fan, I'm actually probably going to tune in once we get done with the NHL. Now, if they're head-to-head, I probably can't make that guarantee. But aside from that, I will tune in. So tonight, I got a feeling I'll be locked into game 1.
I don't believe that they've got it set up to where there's any reason why they would go at the same night. The only thing that could be a caveat to it is this hurricane that's coming off the coast into Tampa. For some reason, they have to postpone tomorrow's game and play Thursday. That would be the only thing that I could see. I don't believe that's going to be the case because they have postponed the Tampa Bay Rays baseball game today because they're expecting that storm to hit late this evening. By the way, just a programming note, for some reason, this thing is stronger than we think it is. We obviously won't have a show if it knocks out our power. So tomorrow, but it looks like it's going to come in overnight and hopefully the winds won't be too bad, but they've already planned to play a doubleheader tomorrow afternoon in Tampa versus Cleveland. So I would think that we'll get the game 5 played tomorrow night. So it should be altering nights depending on how long the NHL goes. Let's go ahead and dive into the world of Ole Miss football. All right, so the Ole Miss Rebels 2021, Lane Kiffin, he finally gets to get his team outside the pandemic. What say you?
And I think they got a really good option this year to put up a big number in the win column. I could theoretically go through this if we have time and explain how you can get to 9, but I think a 7 or 8 win season is more realistic with the expectation that they could pull it off and get into that high one should they knock off, one of the big upsets or get one of the games still from the West, because they get lucky and pull from the East, Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and going in this season, I've got to say that's probably your most favorable draw you could get from the East. So with what they have returning on that offense, I'm looking really forward to it. They've got to replace Elijah Moore. That's going to be a big issue. But outside of that, they should have enough roster depth to handle that. It's going to come down a lot to that. I still think the Egg Bowl's big at the end of the season for one, Mississippi State, but I think for Ole Miss to be able to crush their season and, like I said, put them in one of them warm New Year's Day bowls, they've got an opportunity should they run that.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and hit that. I'll go ahead and rattle off the schedule real quick. As my thing with Ole Miss, I believe they're going to go as far as the quarterback takes them, because that kid last year was, I mean, he's electric to watch. Is it Matt Corral or do they pronounce it Corral? Because I've always said Coral. Do you have any idea?
I say Coral, but some say potato and I say potato. So who knows?
Okay. So I believe it's Coral. So if it's not that I'm butchering it, but I believe that's how I heard it last year. But that Coral kid, man, he's got legs. I mean, he can run. What did he have? He had 506 yards rushing, averaged 337 yards passing. Ole Miss can put the points up. I think he's going to be even more dangerous. This could be a dark horse type of team when you're looking at the West. I don't know if necessarily they have enough to put it together to dethrone an Alabama, but who the hell does, other than maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But when you look at the fact that Alabama is going to be coming in with the new quarterback, Ole Miss, and we know that Lane Kiffin can go out there and put the fear of God into Alabama as he did last year. Ole Miss also tends to have their number for whatever reason. This should be an exciting season for Ole Miss football. So let's go ahead and start it off. They're going to play. It looks like that it's going to be in Atlanta against Louisville. And real quick, I'll just go ahead and rattle these off, and then you just kind of give me where you think they are. You got Louisville, you got Austin P and Tulane. Then the SEC begins. They're at Alabama. They're at home against Arkansas. And then we get at Tennessee, at home against LSU, at Auburn, at home against Liberty, and then they'll finish it off at home against A&M, at home against Vanderbilt, and then the Egg Bowl is at Mississippi State this year. So, with all that being said, I'm trying to find the over/under to what Ole Miss is. I'll get that pulled up in a second. But what's your gut feeling about Ole Miss football this year? Win-loss.
8-4. 8-4.
Okay.
I think it's an 8-win season with an opportunity to get to 9. But you've got to knock off one of the Alabama schools to possibly do that. I think you're going to need that, and they're both on the road. So good luck with that.
Yeah,
but in my head, I've got Tennessee being one of those 4 losses. So, in flip, they probably win that game, and then they don't have to win an Alabama or an Auburn game. But it's going to take one of them. You got to beat an LSU or an Alabama. So pick your poison. You've got to knock one of them off. And then Auburn, A&M, and State, you've got to find a way to win those to get in there and get that high bowl. If not, you're going to be stuck at another 6-6, 7-5, just lackluster season. And I don't know if that's what you're paying the Kiffin regime for.
So right now, Vegas has the odds at 7.5. So that's right there, right? You're taking the over in 8-4.
I'll take over.
I think I've got over too. Look, I don't know what to expect from Louisville this year. I do think that they've got a solid program. I do think that coach is doing good things, but I'm going to give Ole Miss the benefit of the doubt that they win that game. And then I've got to give them wins against Austin P and Tulane. They're going to lose to Alabama, you would think, because it's in Tuscaloosa, but hell, you never know about that rivalry. I think they'll beat Arkansas. They'll probably beat Tennessee, but it is in Knoxville. So if that's like a night game, all bets are off. They're at home against LSU, and I think that loss to LSU's left tackle is going to be a major, major blow So I'm giving them the nod to at least give a chance at that one. The Auburn game, I figure, is probably a loss, but then they've got Liberty, which would be a 7th win. They've got Vanderbilt, which would be an 8th win. And then you got A&M and Mississippi State. I mean, right now, today, I favor Ole Miss in the Mississippi State game. Wouldn't you?
I do.
So I think I've got to take the over in that, because I think 9 is reachable in a perfect year. If everything fell their way, I think they could even get to 10, but they have A&M, and I know we'll get into them down the road, but they have A&M ranked really high for a team, for a Jimbo Fisher team that lost its quarterback, right? So the fact that they get A&M at home, I know A&M is supposed to have an incredible defense, but I also know that college football is built on offense nowadays. So 20 years ago, you asked me the same thing, I'd probably say, well, I'm going to go with the defensive team, and I think A&M's going to. But today, the way the rules have changed and whatnot, you almost have to give the nod to the offense. And I get it. By then, Jimbo Fisher might have the offense rolling because he is known as the quarterback whisperer. But it took him 2-3 years to get Kellen Mond in shape. So that quarterback whisperer might want to start talking a little louder, a little faster. That's all I know. Because you ain't gonna hang around A&M long if you have to rebuild, and every 3 years you might have a good team, right? You better get.
You're not gonna hang along A&M long at $75 million guaranteed, and you haven't won the West. And this is you mentioned Alabama's reload and LSU's kind of. We still don't know where they're at, so I'm interested when we get to A&M to see where they come out this year. Because, and you got to think Aggies fans are gonna be after them if they don't pull it off this season.
The first preliminary poll that I saw, it's not one of the quote unquote real polls. They were number 7 in the country. I was like, whoa, because I thought I hit the wrong link. I thought it was like last year's. I was like, they number 7 with what they've lost. All right, if you say so. And by the way, their over under total is 9.5 this year. So that's pretty high for. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but A&M we know is going to have to play the SEC West. I know that much, right? So I'm like, that's pretty high. I don't know who they have out of conference, but we're coming up on time. What is your walk off for the day, sir?
LeBron James. You're not in the finals, dude. I guess more of a sorry dude than anything. I don't know if you caught over the weekend, but he decided to bust up his son's high school game. Got mad over the PA announcer saying that Bronny got a call because his dad's name was on the building. Literally stopped the game and confronted him with 2 minutes to go. I mean, maybe if you don't show up with your entourage, you don't get brought up during the game.
He did what?
Literally 2 minutes. He confronted the PA announcer at his son's basketball game because the PA announcer made something about a call. It must have been ticky-tacky, but he said essentially Bronny got the call because his dad's name's on the building. They were playing at, I guess, his school there.
The PA announcer.
LeBron kind of, for the basketball game, made the comment. LeBron, with 2 minutes to go in the game, walks over and they have confrontation. People got to separate them, sit them down. Nothing happened, but come on, dude. Because the NBA Finals are going, you ain't on it. You got to get in the news.
Oh, man, I'd have egged him on. I would have egged him on. Because I'd be like, dude, hit me. Because if I can take a hole out the size of Kansas into my wall, I'm pretty sure I can take one of your punches.
Well, I don't think you're going to make it to 2 minutes left in the go if you're PAing the game with LeBron.
Oh, no, me?
Got a feeling he's going to get hurt before then.
It's gonna get pregame. It's gonna be, just as they're tapping it off. Yeah, but I guarantee I'd egg him enough to where he'd take a swing at me. My neck! I can't walk. All right, brother. We'll see you on Friday.
Have a great week, sir.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Bobby and I are going to dive into the Buffalo Bills. Get ready. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
You're very lucky that you're with somebody as resilient as Frank Reynolds.
You tried to off yourself 2 times in the last 24 hours, Frank.
Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms. They buy and sell used guns. Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. The friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks. ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterback.
Against the blitz, touchdown Florida State. Rock Preston scores the touchdown, and now it's Bowden's decision, and he sends Mowry onto the field right away. Danny Cannell is the holder. Mowry ties it. This game is over. A 31-31 tie. A 31-31 tie.
A deep throw by Lawrence, a lot of contact. Justin Ross broke free from it. He's down in the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson.
Justin Ross, a freshman wide receiver, big, rangy, and Trevor Lawrence knows, throw it up against that single coverage, give him a chance to make a play on a 50-50 ball.
If you're a fan of the ACC, pull up an armchair. You're home.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody touching. Just grabbing, everybody. Grab. Nobody touching.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays. Your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
Listen in your office, in your car, or even your neighborhood bar. You can listen with your whole family.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
We're crab people now.
We're crab people now?
Yes.
Welcome back. Armchair Quarterback, Mr. Bobby is with us. Bobby, how was your 4th of July weekend? I hope it was better than mine.
It was good for the most part. I went over to North Carolina, spent some time with my grandparents and cousin. So that was fun.
So you didn't almost trip and fall, stick your head through your own wall, and cut yourself with a knife, right? So you didn't do any of that?
Did not do that.
Good job.
Did not, thankfully.
You know, it's funny. They always talk about a life flash before your eyes. You're like, whatever. I had my head towards that wall. I was like, oh crap. I don't even think I have my phone on me. I thought for sure I was breaking my freaking neck. I'd just be laying there in traction, dog licking my foot. Man. By the way, it traumatized my dog. It did. Like she was so terrified. And then I was bleeding profusely. And so she was just like looking at me. I was like, well, looking at me. It's making it more difficult to get these bandages on. When I finally called my wife, one of the first things she asked me was, will you go to the ER? I was like, well, no, I'm not dead. And she didn't know, but I had my hand like elevated and I was trying to keep it from bleeding out. I was playing, freaking Trapper John to the stars over here. I was like, oh my God, just absolute disaster. But anyways, we'll move on from that. Before we get into the Bills NBA playoffs tonight, game 1, Justin and I were just talking about this. Man, I'm excited for this. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This is fun. Now, it would have been a little better if we knew Giannis was going to play in game 1. But to me, this is exciting. You've got 2 franchises. Somebody's going to win a franchise championship for the first time in over 50 years, right? Because the Suns, I saw a thing yesterday. Suns, is this their 53rd year? I believe in existence. And I do know that the last time the Bucks won the championship was in 70, which is 51 years ago. And that was the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Bucks before he left to go to the Lakers. He LeBron the Bucks long before LeBron did anything. Are you excited about this, or are you?
Yeah, I'm excited for the series. Like you said, I was hoping to see Giannis healthy in time for game 1. It doesn't look like he'll go. I think he's listed as doubtful. But I think it'll be a pretty good series regardless. I think the Bucks look great without Giannis. I mean, they'd obviously be better with him. But Middleton, he's stepped up. Bobby Portis has played well in a starting role. Drew Holiday as well. So I think it'll be a fun game 1 and the series as a whole.
And Phoenix, this is their 3rd time to the finals. So I think most people remember the Charles Barkley Phoenix Suns getting to the NBA title. Not you weren't around then, but for people that are shaving regularly, most people remember that. But I think a lot of people forget that in 76 they went and played a really good series against the eventual champion Boston Celtics. And there was some chippiness in that series. Oh, there was some chippiness in that series. There's an all-time great game that was put on. It was during the pandemic. They put it on NBA TV. And so one of those days I sat down and actually watched the whole thing. And I don't remember if it was game 5, game 6, whatever it was. There was chippiness to the point where there was a fan that got into a fist fight with a referee.
Jeez,
can you imagine that today?
that would be unbelievable.
I don't remember if it was Brett Musburger, if it was someone else, but whoever it was matter of fact. So they've gotten a hold of the fan. They're going to get him out of here as he took some swings at the ref. And I'm like, I mean, that's on Sports Talk Radio for a month if this happened today. If a fan got loose and punched an umpire, oh my God. From what I remembered, I believe the umpire actually got the better of him. I said umpire, ref. I think the ref actually smacked him. But the point is, he came running down onto the court. The guy did blow the call, but that's not the point. You don't punch a referee unless you're convinced there's collusion. Then okay, maybe. But that's so we have that, and then the Bucks. I believe the Bucks. I could be mistaken. I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I believe that when they won that title in 71 with Kareem, I believe that they went one more time after him because they always talked about. Okay, 1974. So, but they haven't been. They won it 50 years ago. And they haven't been in 47 years. So the 74, there's a shocker. Guess who beat them in 74?
Who's that?
The Celtics.
Celtics.
I believe there's almost always the Celtics if it's pre-1980. If it's post-1980, it's usually the Lakers or the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Celtics. But they do have 16 division titles, which means absolutely nothing in basketball. But so there you go.
I believe at one point I think they were a Western Conference team. The Bucks were.
That would make sense. Let me see. Well, yeah, they would have had to have been.
Yeah.
because they played the Celtics in the finals. So
yeah.
And there's no way in hell that I know there's a lot of screwy things that went on pre-1980, but they didn't have the Boston Celtics in the Western Conference anymore because it's not like that team ever moved. So yeah, back then, it was considered to be West if you lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because it was Midwest. If you were renaming all this stuff nowadays, you would not consider Milwaukee Midwest, because you're not really in the middle of the West. When I think of Midwest, if you actually want to break down that word, I mean, I'm thinking Oklahoma, Colorado. But back then, when they were assigning these names, east of the Mississippi and anything close to the Mississippi was being looked upon as approaching the West. Because there was very, very, very little population out there. Because that's why your Atlanta Braves were in the National League West for decades, because when they first came about, when they left Boston, they went to Milwaukee, and that was considered the West. And then when they transferred over to Atlanta, they just didn't move them for the longest time. I don't think they moved until like the mid 90s, and they came to Atlanta in 66. So you're talking about almost 30 years of the Atlanta Braves being considered West, which I always thought was just asinine. And it was a huge disadvantage to be playing in Atlanta, and all of your road games in your division are in California and beyond. Anyways, moving on from that, who do you have in the series? Because I'm taking the Suns, and I think the Suns are going to win it probably. I'm going to say 6. What say you?
I think it largely depends on Giannis's health, and as up in the air as that is, I'm leaning towards the Suns right now, and I'm in the same area as you. I think they're going to win in 6.
Which both would, if they do win in 6, they would be winning the title on the road. Excuse me. Now, if Giannis doesn't play at all,
that's going to be 4 or 5.
It could be 5. Yeah. I don't think the Bucks could get swept. In fact, I think they could upset the Suns tonight, because Middleton and Lopez are playing out of their mind, and I think they can cause enough problems in the paint with them alone, not worrying about they're almost a more well-rounded team when Giannis isn't in there, because they don't feel like they have to force the ball to him. Because if you look at Giannis and his game, his biggest Achilles heel is if you can force him to shoot that mid-range jumper. He doesn't really have that in his repertoire at this point.
Yeah.
And I really thought over the last couple of years when he would say that I'm going to improve my game in the off season and blah, blah. I thought that would be the one thing that he would come back with, is at least if you're Giannis, you have to give them the threat that you can pull up and hit the jumper from the elbow. You've got to give them that threat to where they're like, well, you can't just keep letting him have the shot, and then that makes him a force in the lane, because he's terrible behind the 3. I think I saw 18% in the playoffs behind the 3-point arc. I mean, just stop it with the 3-point shot. I know everyone wants to shoot it, but just stop it. Learn your inside game, and then build from you. Look, I know you didn't watch Jordan's career per se, but a lot of people forget Michael Jordan didn't have a 3-point shot until fairly late in his career. It was in like the early to mid 90s where he was looked upon as a threat from the 3-point line. Jordan would get in there and get in the paint. Now, once he perfected the 3-point line, that's what made him the best player in the league. But there's nothing wrong with being able to pound, especially when you're Giannis he's damn near 7 feet tall, right? I mean, you should be hanging out behind the 3-point line to begin with. It's like a left tackle who's only good at pass blocking. Like, what are you doing? Get your nose dirty. Get in there. So
yeah, if he developed a jumper, I think he'd be unstoppable, really. It'd be just because of how much of a threat he is driving inside. It'd be almost impossible to stop him.
And I don't even think he would need like a long range jumper. I think he would just need something mid-range to keep you honest. Yeah. He doesn't have to have a 3-point threat. He just something to keep you honest, to where you feel like, well, I've got to go out here and guard him, right? Because right now, I know he's put up a lot of numbers. He's won 2 MVPs, but those are regular season hero type awards. Postseason, I don't fear him. I just don't. I think he's if I look at a postseason player, someone that I would want to rally around, he's not even in my top 10 in the league because his one attribute that you would think would be like, man, you got to watch out for him, is that he does not put fear of you into the paint because he's more of a dribble drive guy. And this is speaking of the Bucks and speaking of their 50-year, dude, learn the hook shot. You learn the sky hook, it's a wrap. No one could defend that. If Giannis learned a sky hook, he should be good. He should be spending his entire offseason this year talking to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and go, how the hell did you do that shot? Because I need to learn it. I don't know why someone hasn't perfected that. Kareem's the only one that ever, there were baby hooks, but the sky hook, that thing was unbelievable. And I know it was before your time, but it was one of those, just when you would pull against the Lakers and you would pull against Kareem, it would drive you nuts because you're like, you can't defend it unless you're going to get help on the backside. It's undefendable. And at that point, Kareem would just kick it out to someone who's open behind the arc. Anyways, we'll move on from that. But yeah, I for one am excited about this week. And they brought it up in the chats. Real quick, I just want to address this. I did not know the Cubs were on a 10-game losing streak. I knew they'd fallen off and they were playing terrible baseball, but I did not realize that it was up to 10 games in a row. So for all Cub fans out there, get your head out of the oven. Milwaukee's playing really good baseball, but they do feel like a house of cards. They do feel like they could fall off at any minute. Milwaukee has not played a very tough schedule either. So when they get more into the meat of their schedule, I think Milwaukee could, but quietly, no one's paying attention to this team. The Cincinnati Reds, they're still 6 back, but they're hanging around. And so just, keep an eye on the Reds because they are a franchise that can get aggressive at the trading deadline, which we're not that far away. All right. The Buffalo Bills, let's go ahead and dive into them because the Bills Mafia has got to be excited. What the hell did I just say? All right. That was total accident, but it is what it is now. All right. I go to scroll sometime to get ready for something else down the road, and your finger sticks on these apps. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the Buffalo Bills. I would say they're set at quarterback for the foreseeable future. So I think this is one of these teams we're going to run into. We're like, you don't have to question how good the quarterback is, right? What is your biggest concern for the Buffalo Bills, a team that made it to the AFC Championship game, but they got blown out? What is your biggest concern for them to be able to repeat a type of year like they had last year?
Well, number one was how loaded the AFC is. You got the Chiefs offense, which is incredible. The Titans offense, which added Julio Jones. My concern with them going late into the season is their secondary. It's already pretty weak as it is. And last year when Tre'Davious White went down for a couple weeks, it was even worse. And they didn't do much to fix it this offseason. So that's something that I think could bite them long run. I don't think it's too much of a concern, but with the matchups that they could be seeing in the playoffs, who knows?
I'm a little surprised that they didn't go more in, like looking at their draft. Okay, so they did draft a couple of defensive backs, but it was in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Okay. They early on they went defensive end Gregory Rousseau. They added
the 2nd round as well.
Right. They added 2 tackles, which obviously they were looking for depth. But one of my biggest concerns about this team is they still don't have a running game.
That's true.
I mean, unless you're convinced that Matt Breida coming in is going to be the answer. These are their running backs. Singletary and Zach Boss. Well, they were there last year. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Matt Breida, who is about as brittle as a potato chip. Tywan Jones, Antonio Williams, Christian Wade. What? This is a team that had no running game, and it seems like they're just going to abandon it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've got, the receivers are more of the same. Davis, Diggs, Beasley. They did add Emmanuel Sanders, but I mean, at this point, he's not going to be a huge contributor.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders got to be mid-30s at this point.
About that, yeah.
That secondary is going to be an issue, but you could help yourself out if you were churning the clock up.
Mm-hmm.
They had an elite defense a couple of seasons ago, and a couple of injuries, but also I believe it's their pace. Their pace of play puts their team in a hole. And when you watch the Bills, they can get up 17-0, whatever. It's not safe, because as quickly as they can score points, they can also go a bunch of 3-and-outs and put their defense back out there on the field. So I think it's going to be a very tricky season, but let's go ahead and get into it. As this year, by the way, they will start their preseason off this year at Detroit, at Chicago, and then home against Green Bay. Not that anyone really cares about preseason, but I do like to throw that out there. All right. They're going to start off Pittsburgh at home, at Miami, at home against Washington and Houston. I got them play 3-1.
I have them going 4-0 in that stretch to start the season. I think all those teams are beatable, and I think they'll handle business.
I don't like their chances at Miami. And if they do beat Miami, I believe the Washington game could sneak up on them. They're probably better than all four of those teams, but I'm looking at the attrition of an entire NFL schedule. After that, you get at Kansas City, at Tennessee. Tennessee's on a Monday night. Kansas City's on a Sunday night. So you get two primetime games back-to-back, and then a bye, and then at home against Miami, and then they're at Jacksonville. Where do you have them after that?
I think they'll drop both the Titans and Chiefs games. We saw what the Titans did to them on primetime last season. I think I don't think it'll be nearly as bad, but I do think the Titans will win that game, and I think the Chiefs will as well. I think they'll beat the Dolphins at home, and then I think they'll beat Jacksonville as well.
Okay, so you got them 6-2. I'll probably have them around 5-3. I just figure they're going to lose one of those games, probably two. Looking at that, Kansas City is going to be tough. Tennessee is going to be tough. And Miami, coming off a bye, I give them a chance to right the ship there. But I'm with you. I wouldn't favor them in the Kansas City and Tennessee game, so I've got them at 5-3 at that point. Okay, then they go at Jets, at home against the Colts, at Saints, at home against New England. What you got?
I'm going 3-1 in that stretch. I think they'll drop a game to the Colts. I think the Bills are overall a better team, but I think the Colts, I think they'll get kind of, there's that lucky kind of flip game, I guess, towards the middle of the year. It's hard to predict those, I guess, but I think the Colts will pull off a win in that game. I like that matchup for them.
All right, and then they'll finish it off the 5-game stretch at Tampa, at home against Carolina, at New England, at home against the Jets and the Falcons.
I think they'll go 4-1 in that stretch. I think they'll lose to the Bucs, their lone game. I think they have a chance to drop the game to the Jets in Week 17 if the Jets are maybe fighting for a playoff spot, which is very unlikely. So I'm going to go ahead and mark down a win for the Bills there. And, yeah, I think they'll finish 4-1 in that stretch.
So you've got them going 13-4 this season. With their lack of running game and their lack of what I think is a very average defense at best, even when they're healthy. I'm gonna take them at 11-6. That still might be enough to win the AFC East, but I don't think they're going to run away with it like they did in the past, because the one thing I thought that they would address would be a dominant running back. And they had an opportunity that they really wanted to put the fear of everyone in the division. Najee Harris was sitting there when they drafted with the 21st pick, because I think Najee Harris went 24th or 25th. They didn't do that. But if you weren't going to do that, there were some defensive backs that you could have grabbed. They didn't do that. And I find it odd that they went with defensive end depth as opposed to a priority need. And I really think that's going to bite them in the end. It's time to go ahead and do if they get to the playoffs, and we'll do a actual big prediction show, but if they get to the playoffs, how deep are they going this year?
I think they'll be an AFC Championship team. I don't think they'll beat the Chiefs. I think they'll probably match up against the Chiefs again, maybe the Titans, or maybe the Titans and Chiefs match up. But I think I'm saying AFC Championship for the Bills.
Wow, so a repeat.
Yeah.
I don't know if they lose that again. Bills fans are gonna be like, "This is worse than we couldn't win the Super Bowl. We're gonna keep getting to the AFC Championship game and not getting back." All right, turn back time. Here we go. On this date in 1933, the very first Major League Baseball All-Star game was played. The American League wins 4-2 in Comiskey Park in Chicago. Babe Ruth hits the first All-Star home run. Now, why would that shock anybody? Babe Ruth, although I will say this, he was kind of long in the tooth at that point, so it's not as much of a slam dunk as it would have been. That was 14 years after he became a Yankee. That was about 20 years into his career. So that is your turn back time on this date. Birthdays.
It's your birthday today. What does that mean? I guess I'll try to.
Happy birthday, Mr. Willie Randolph. Do you know who he is?
First time your parents
The name sounds familiar, but I couldn't stick it to someone.
Fair enough. 67 years young, Mr. Willie Randolph, Major League Baseball second baseman. Most people probably remember him as he was the battery mate with the with the New York Yankees in the 1980s. He was in the same infield as Don Mattingly. Sir Willie Randolph, which is weird. I'm looking at his pictures. They got him in his an Oriole hat. And I get it that I get that he was an assistant coach, but I'm like, come on, dude, you got to have him a freaking Yankee hat. He was also a manager for the New York Mets at one point. Did not do very well, but there you have that. And let's go ahead and grab a dead guy real quick. Find a guy who never would have made it. Let me see here. How about? Oh, no, I can't pronounce that guy's name. How about George Armstrong, Canadian Hockey Hall of Fame center, Stanley Cup winner for, was it 6 teams? The Toronto Maple Leafs, 7-time All-Star and born in Bowlands, Ontario. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
I got the Bucks Suns tonight, 8 Central Time. I think with how good the Bucks have been playing without Giannis, I think Middleton and Lopez and Drew Holiday, I think they could step up again and make it a great game. So I think it's and it's obviously there's big stakes. It's the finals now. So I think it's something you'll want to watch.
I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to obviously the Stanley Cup tomorrow night. But today in Major League Baseball, look, obviously we all know I'm going to be locked in the Braves game. I'm always locked in the Braves game. But there's a pretty good matchup that's probably going under a lot of people's radar. And that is, I want to see what the Milwaukee Brewers, who have been red hot, What can they do against Jacob deGrom tonight? Jacob deGrom got crushed the other night by the Atlanta Braves, giving up 3 earned runs, sending his ERA all the way up to 0.95. It's ridiculous. That guy really is ridiculous. And an under the radar one that people might want to keep an eye on, White Sox Twins, Barrios versus Rodon. That should be a pretty good matchup for a Minnesota team that's in last place. Who the hell saw that coming? All right, we will see you tomorrow. Sean O'Toole will be with us. Hopefully, if the hurricane behaves and doesn't knock the power out here at the Armchair Studios. Great job, Mr. Bobby. We will see you next week.
Thank you. Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette.